Welcome and thank you for your interest in our London Centre new initiative. We're calling it TIPS, and what we hope is that each week or every 2 weeks we will post a valuable tip from some of our members on things to do with the organ or choir or anything else to do with our business of church music. We hope you'll find them interesting and enlightening. None of them will be longer than 10 minutes, and some may be significantly shorter than that. So I will be doing the first one, and I thought I'd tell you the way that I think you should be able to play every hymn, or almost every hymn that you play. And that is in 3 ways. One, the normal way, with the soprano, alto, tenor in the hands and the bass in the feet. Then also with just the hands, so no pedal. And then soloing out the melody in the right hand, playing the alto and tenor in the left and the bass in the feet. Now, before going on, I'll admit that some tunes do not suit, for instance, being played by hands only, like the great unison tunes of Vaughan Williams and some contemporary hymns and so on. But by and large, these 3 ways of playing a hymn will work for the vast majority of our hymnody. Now, you may say, I have enough trouble playing hymns with hands and feet that I don't need any other techniques, thank you very much. So why would I want to do this? Well, using these 3 methods will give you much more variety or capability of getting variety in sound, and then also texture, and the soloing out the melody will enable you to especially introduce new hymns or contemporary hymns in a very clear way that isn't possible with just playing all the voices on the same sound. Now, you will need different fingerings when you play the hymn just with the hands than you do with the soprano, alto, tenor in the hands and bass in the feet, and obviously with the soloing out the melody. So if you're one that needs to write in fingerings carefully, you will need 3 copies. Now, there's something else you may not want to do. But I can assure you that as you get more proficient with these things, especially soloing out the soprano, it will come more and more easily, so you won't have to write out everything. But let me just demonstrate a few of these things with some hymns. So the first one is Now Thank We All Our God. So the normal way to play it might be this. That suits the strength of the tune very well. However, you could play it this way, especially maybe in the introduction to remind everybody. Or, if you want a lighter texture, you could play it just with the hands. Most of us try to vary the verses with the sounds we use, but by playing them in these different ways, you can vary, that gives you another layer of variety. Now, if you find playing with just the hands in a legato style quite difficult, you could use the feet, but don't use a 16-foot stop. So here's the 16-foot, but here's the same thing without the 16-foot. So almost the same as if I played it just with the hands. And if you find soloing out the tune very difficult, and unless you're used to doing it, you will. It's a little more difficult to play the alto and the tenor together in one hand at first. You could just try one phrase that way. So, for instance, the church is one foundation. If you think of the text, the church's one foundation is Jesus Christ, her Lord, or our Lord. And so that suits a solo voice. So you could just play the opening. And then move to a regular soprano, alto, tenor in the hands and feet, and pedal in the bass. Some of you will know Thomas Murray, the American recitalist, and I heard him recital a few times, and each time he played a hymn so that the congregation could join him and sing along. And he always played the first verse that way. So he played the first phrase on a big solo trumpet or solo stop, and then moved to the regular sound on the other verses. I mentioned that this is particularly good, soloing voice out for contemporary hymns, which tend to be, originally they were for a solo singer and accompanying themselves on a guitar. So that can work very nicely on the organ. I Am the Light of the World, some may know. That could be the introduction, and it suits the music and suits the tune very well. So I hope I've whet your appetite for trying some of these things, and of course many of these techniques gain in value the less you use them. So you may not solo out only one verse in a service, for instance. The other reason for some of these tips is not just because you're going to use them for your congregation, which is the most important thing, but also it keeps up your interest. How often have you heard somebody just sort of going through the motions? You know they've played hymns for 50 years and they hold no interest for them anymore. So these different ways of looking at them and playing them can help keep your interest up too, which is just about as valuable as anything. So please give those a try, and I hope you find them of interest. Thank you.